Okay, I'll try to mute everybody. Okay, so good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 36th edition of BC Open Discussion. Those who are in India, they know that the financial year ended a few days ago. Yeah, your taxes and everything now starts being a thing that you need to do. But okay, let's go through normals. Then there are some questions. There are some follow-ups from the last session that we did. There are some follow-ups on Twitter. There was some follow-ups on YouTube comments. There was some question came around, and then there was some confusion that happened last week because I was not sure about certain things. So we'll cover those, and then if we have time, we'll open it for questions. So as we all know, if you are here and want to get invite every week without registering, you can drop your name and email, and then you don't have to go and register on this link after that. If you're not in this list, then drop your name and email, and I'll make you default attendee going forward. Just a note, Shahid, you are already default attendee, but I see you take that pain and every time go and register, so you don't have to. You'll get the invite every time. Okay. So let's see what's coming up, because this has been talked everywhere on social media, on every platform. But I thought if you don't know about it, I should make sure that you are informed about it. So the first one is there is a office hour call from Microsoft about rolling out 2020 release wave 1, and they'll explain how their plan is, when they are going to do it, what precautions you as partner need to take care of for your pertinent extensions. So this office hour call is on April 7th, and you can go and register by using this link, aka.ms/bc office hours. And there are other meetings which you can also register for the future in the same link. So keep an eye on this. This is a good initiative from Microsoft. I do attend most of them, and they are super information. There is great amount of content that you can get from there. So this one is specifically about 2020 release 1. There is a catch that I found in 2020 release 1, which is this time, instead of giving 90 days to delay your tenant upgrade, it's only limited to 60 days for some reasons. So in the previous releases, there were 90 days where you can delay to upgrade your customer tenant for 90 days, but now it's reduced to 60 days on this release. That's what I read on the Yammer channel from Microsoft. We'll get that confirmation in this call. I'm pretty sure somebody will have that question, but keep note of that if you have SaaS customers. The other big event that's coming up is the Business Central launch event, which is on April 13th. So the keynote will be the live session, and rest are already pre-recorded, where Microsoft will guide us from the perspective of what's coming new or what's already out in BC 18, and how as a developer or as a consultant you can utilize these features of Business Central 2021 release wave 1. So keep an eye on it. I prefer to watch them on the same day if I can, because I'm bad in following up, watching recordings later. I have very hard time following on that. So if you haven't registered yet, go to this link, akams/bcle, which is Business Central launch event. The keynote will start on April 13th, and there is a time. I don't remember the time exactly, but on Pacific time zone, there is a time that is defined for that. And after the launch event, all the recorded sessions will be available for you to watch whenever you get some time. So do go ahead and register for both the events.
So, Saurav, is this event changed? Because earlier I got a mail for 6th April launch event.
That might be Dynamics 365, not Business Central. So that this one is specifically focused on Business Central. So we'll only talk about Business Central.
Okay, okay, fine.
And then there is one for Dynamics 365 if you're interested in sales and other areas of Dynamics 365. And I guess that is on April 6th, if I'm not wrong. Okay. So before we move ahead, I wanted to share this, and you might, I don't know, you were there on the last meeting or not, you guys, but there was a question from David about how he can create a environment which is not based on his region that he's belonged to. Like he was, I think he's in UAE, and he wanted to create a sandbox or a production, or especially sandbox environment for doing his development and testing and training for a US customer or in the US region. So the way it works right now is if you are in India and your company is registered to use Business Central and you try to create a tenant, it will by default create it for India localization. And that's how it is. It's based on where your Office 365 has been registered. But then in the similar event last year, which is this launch event last year, Microsoft talked about something called as customer digital experience called CDX. So based on your ID, your official ID as partners. So this area is available for Microsoft employees, partners, and I guess for MVPs, which I'm not sure yet. But this is available for these three different kind of role fillers, which is Microsoft employee, partners, and MVPs. So you can come here, you can register for it. The link is super simple, which is cdx.transform.microsoft.com. Once you are here, you can click on my environment, which you see right now is nothing. You can create a tenant. And when you click on this create tenant, it'll give you certain options. So this is the limitation that my organization as a partner have, that I can have 5 90 days tenant, which will expire automatically or will be decommissioned after 90 days. And then I can have 1 year tenant. So you can choose the time period, you can choose what type it is, and then you can choose the tenant location. And now I'm hoping that this defines the localization, which I'm in doubt right now because is it covering everything that's available in Business Central? Okay, I don't know. But let's see. Mine is registered for US, North America. So I'll choose India. Let's see what happens. Is there something over there? No, this is okay. Okay. So let's choose India and let's see, do I get a India tenant because my Office 365 is North American based. But then you can choose different content packs. I would prefer Business Central, so I can go ahead and filter for Dynamics 365 Business Central. The demo environment includes Office content to help users showcase customer scenarios in a live demo environment. To add Business Central to your tenant, please log in into your tenant admin once the tenant has been claimed and go to this link from sign up. Okay, so let's see what happens when we click on this action, create tenant. Accepting, you are not violating. Okay, and accept and continue. So right now it's being created, and maybe at the end of the session we'll see what we got. Did we get a US based tenant or did we got an India based tenant? And if you get India based tenant, I guess that will solve David problem that he was having earlier. So this seems no CRM 3M period 90 days for the expiration date, status complete. Notes. Okay, so let's try clicking on this. I don't think it's ready, but we'll see what happens. Okay. So this is, if this works, I guess this is what sign out and switch. Oh, because I am getting a different Office 365 environment for this. So admin name, email. Okay. So let me try doing that. Sign out and switch. Okay. So it's a good idea to close all browser. Okay, let me try clicking on that again. Okay. I don't know. I don't have password. So, oh, there is password, which I'll have to delete this tenant then, as I'm sharing that. That's not a problem. I'll remove this. Okay. So I'm hoping that this will give me a business central somewhere. Okay. Okay, this expires on 6:30. That's okay. Assign end purchase quantity. Okay. So let's wait for it to be ready, and then I guess we can check from admin center. There should be a business central icon here somewhere. Dynamics 365 or all apps. Let me see. Do we see business central somewhere? Okay, I don't see one. Is it Dynamics 365? No. Okay. You don't have any apps yet. Okay. How can I see my tenant? Because it says it's created. So that means, okay. Let me see if I see something here on this. Tenant name is this, expiry date, admin portal day, not renew status not available, credentials are here. Okay, so if I try to do, what's that link for Business Central? I always get confused. This is businesscentral.dynamics.com. So let's try that. Okay. Okay. And then it doesn't show me view account. Dynamics 365 home. Okay, get more apps. Will it do something? I guess it used to create a Business Central tenant, which it is not creating now. Okay, let's wait for it. What gets loaded with this? This is my account. Okay, this is only Dynamics 365. Okay, I'll have to see this. But I think there was something in this area where there should be a Business Central tenant available after this.
But the tenant is created successfully, right?
Yeah, the tenant is created. I can't get into it for some reasons. This is my tenant name. There is everything other than getting access to that tenant. And I have used it in past. I don't know, they might have changed something how I actually go into it. But there should be a Business Central somewhere. Because they have created my office account and everything. So I can get into my office thing. From here, where is that Business Central thing? Okay, that's weird. Access your Dynamics 365 Business Central account. Okay, like this. Oh, now it's going up there from sign up. So I guess it's still working. Okay, it's finishing the setup. So at the end, we'll come to this same view browser and we'll see where we are and actually what we get. That's important. I have chosen India. So let's see what I got after this. And if it is India, then I guess David will get what he wanted based on his last week discussion. Okay. So you all can use it as partner users. This is not only available for specific, this is available for everybody who is a partner developer or a consultant. Now, last week we talked about that Excel buffer thing, and Steve had a question in the chat, which I didn't thought while I was answering that question about the column names in the Excel buffer. And I didn't want it to leave that kind of question unanswered because that was important as he is kind of learning Business Central, like we all are, but we have this NAV legacy background and he don't. So I thought let's quickly see that before we move ahead. So this is our code that we had last week, right? I'm doing this just for this demo. Don't do it at least on your customer production environment, but just to see what gets stored inside this, because there is, interestingly, there is row number and there is a row ID. Again, there is a column number and there is a column ID. The only thing is we don't pay attention to it because our primary key is row number and column number. But when I thought about his requirement as he was typing in the chat last week, that he wanted to get the column name so that he can use that reference if that column is changed and to kind of read the field caption more or less based on the column name. And surprisingly, Excel column ID stores that. So let's have a quick look on that. So just for looking at that data, I'm removing the temporary from here so that we can, after reading the file, we can see what actually got stored inside that table. And I don't need these. I just need to call the read sheet so that the data is stored in the Excel buffer table. And this is what the read sheet function is doing. It's reading the sheet that is selected and then storing it into Excel buffer. So let's deploy this change and then we'll see how, what actually gets stored in that table when we import a file into it. Okay. So, okay, that's good that it opened the same page where we were last week. I'll choose the import from Excel. I'll choose a file. This is red. So now let's do a table. What is that table number? 370, I guess. Okay, let's see. Otherwise, we'll check that. Okay. So when I run that, that's table 370 is Excel buffer. So if you see right now, for each row, and let me open that Excel also that we just imported so that it makes sense. So this is kind of what I get when you register on the Microsoft form. So the column 1 and row 1 data is ID. But if you see, it also says that the column ID is A. So it's referring to this column name rather than the column index. So for certain reasons, if you are relying on this column ID, then you can use this Excel column ID to get that. So if you see A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So if you see here, the info goes till I. So the same way you can have row number and column number to kind of get what you wanted based on the primary key. But for some reason, if you want to get the column ID, which is A, B, C, D, you can use this column to fetch it. Now, this is not part of the primary key, so you can't actually do a get based on this. but you can still do a set range if you have to. But to kind of answer Steve's question, that can I get the column name, this column or this field on the Excel buffer table gives you that cell name where the value is stored. Any other question? Any other questions on this one, or should we move ahead? Okay, so let me stop this. Let me bring these changes back.
Just a second.
Okay, coming out of that, then we had some debate about try method last time, right? Where I don't remember who said it, but somebody said that I can actually do a modify inside a try function. Somebody even said that I can do a delete, but I can't do an insert. So I actually thought about it. And then Joe's had a
This is
comment.
at junior payment.
Brajendra, I'm going to mute you. Sorry. Okay. So Josh had this comment about the try function. That what if I do a insert, update, or delete on record, and what kind of error should I expect when I do this? And that was interesting because I actually didn't knew what kind of errors you will get. So I thought to kind of write a test for this, or not a test, but a sample for this. So what I've done to save time, and let me know if I have to zoom this, but I've created a code unit which covers most of the scenarios that we have or we can think of. And if there is any other scenario that is not covered in this, I'll be happy to kind of add that scenario if required. Okay. So what we are trying to do in this is collapse this because this is the main function. I've created 5 try functions. The first one is try create customer actual. So which means actually how a customer is created. The way last time we did it, that you pass your record as variable, you do a init, you do a validate, and then the calling function does an insert instead of doing it here. But then the other function is try create customer with insert. Now at this time, what I'm doing is I'm calling the insert in the same try function, and we'll see what happens when we run this. The same way, I tried to modify an existing customer in the try function by changing a value, let's say blocked, into this. And then I'm trying to delete something inside a try function. Surprisingly, this was the question, I guess, last week, that what if I forcefully try to return something? If you forcefully try to return something, this is how system wants you. It says the signature of the function or the procedure that you have created does not match to the signature required by attribute try function. So that means the function definition that you have written does not match what a try function should have. The return value is expected to be none on a try function, but you have given it as a boolean. So you should always create the expected signature of function is this blank without any return value. So that eliminates the first question, that you cannot even forcefully return something from a try function because that's a compile time warning. You can't do that. Any questions on that, or anybody have seen different thing in the past or would like to comment on that? I'll be happy to hear that. Okay. If nothing, let's see the main function which I have created here, and then we'll go get into this. As I've created a main function which is public, so can be used from outside this code unit, and it'll pass a integer, and based on what it is calling, we'll call different functions that we have created. So now let's create a page so that we can call this function multiple times. So, and in the page, I wanted to something which I learned, I guess, last week. If I can, okay, page. Oh, I haven't given an extension to it, so that's why it's not supporting my IntelliSense. Okay. Okay. If I create a page, let's say 50,000, and I call it as my try function test. Now this is a type of card. I don't need a table for it. That's for sure. Now what I want to do is I don't need an action, and this is what interested me because I had a requirement from a customer where in the typical old nav style, they wanted something or a button on their page, right? Which is a typical nav requirement, right? Where you need a button on the nav screen so that you can click on it rather than going down or up. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I'll create 4 labels. Actual try, and then I'll kind of copy these. Okay. The second one becomes insert try. This one becomes your modified try. And this one becomes our delete try. Okay. These are the 4 labels that I'm creating, and then I'll also have to create that reference to that code unit, right? So let's create that code unit reference here. Test try functions. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these in my layout or in my page, which is, let's say this is test try. Okay. This is my group, and inside this I can actually have a label, which is my actual try, and then I can actually use the standard Microsoft ways, which is what is trigger T trigger. Okay, I can do a on, let's say, drill down. What I'm trying to do on this drill down is on actual try, I want to do a try testing dot test try function with 1, and then I don't want to see the caption of this field, so I'll just suppress the caption. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this or copy this 4 times, so this becomes my insert try, and that calls with 2. Then I copy it again, and this becomes my modified try with 3, and this one becomes my delete try. It's by 4. Okay, so this is page 50,000. Let's set the, where is my launch? Okay, set it to 50,000. Okay. So when I will click on the first action or the actual one, it will call my first function, which is this one. The second one will call this, and third one will this, right? So let's run this and see what happens. Okay, so it's getting loaded here. So you'll see your page something like this, where these are kind of hyperlinked to what you are trying to do with these actions. But I might have done some testing, so let me delete some data which I might have there. Okay, so these are my try customers, and it was interesting to play with this. So let's delete this. Okay, and then delete this also. Okay, so right now I don't have any try customers here. and I'm going to do the actual try. So what actual try will do is, let's have a look on that code. The actual try will call this, will do this, and then do the insert. Okay. So let's do actual try. Okay, it's done. Let's refresh it here. And we got a try customer, which makes sense, right? Now the second one is insert try, where what we are doing is in the try function itself, we are inserting it. So will it be successful? Let's see. Okay, there's no errors. Let's refresh this. There should be 2 try functions now. Good. I'll modify. What does the modify does? Modify finds the first try customer and set it to block all. Okay, so let's do modify try and check. So this was set to blocked all. That is also working. And then let's do a delete try, which will delete one of the try or one of the blocked one. Okay, that's done. The last one is done. So what did happen, as in what actually happened? We talked about it last week. We went to the Microsoft document, read everything. What is happening, as in this is not what we discussed last week. This is not behaving the way we thought it will behave last week. Are we missing anything, or is it just, or we are doing it completely wrong? Okay, so this is the first attempt that I did, and I was also surprised that you guys might be at this point. But we forgot about one basic understanding of the try function that we learned last week. Is that the try function always returns a boolean, and if you don't handle that boolean, then it will be treated as a normal function. Is that correct? Does anybody remember about our discussion about last week, that if you don't handle that return value, then the try function will be treated as a normal function or a normal procedure. It will not be treated as a try function. So some way or the other, you need to make sure that you test for that return value that is coming up. If you don't, then it'll behave as it is. So let's try to handle that. So the next thing that I did in my testing is I added this if and did a then and did a else, and in the else gave a message about saying error is get last error text. All right. I'll repeat that in all the statements. Okay. Now, anybody can think of or want to bet on what kind of outputs we'll get out of it? Now what we are doing, we'll pass 1, we'll call the 1, we'll call 2, we'll call the 2, 3, and 4. So what will happen when I try to call 1, which is, eventually doing an insert in normal way? This one is trying to do an insert, which I guess neither we tried last week, but I thought that went without any discussion, that there can be a problem in this situation also. So let's give it a try. I'll publish this, and then before actually testing it, we'll see what Josh's question was, so that we understand his concern exactly from that perspective. Okay, here it is, and here we are. Let me go to customer and clean up if there is any leftovers from the last test that we did. Okay, there are none. So I'm going to run the first one, and before that, let's see what Josh's question was, which is as far as the try function are concerned. Let's say I make an extension and then insert, update, or delete a record in one of your validates in your try function. Will your try function work, or will it give you the error that you can't make changes in the database in a try function? Okay. Anybody want to put bets on these function? Okay, let's give it a try. Otherwise, actual try, this should create a customer. Okay, we have a customer C00110 try customer. The second one is an insert try, and let's again revisit the code. The insert try is actually trying to insert a customer record in the try function. So I'll stop the debugger so that we can see if there is an error message. Okay. So if I do an insert try, my tenant is not responsive. Do I have a customer? Because I called the insert. I don't. But what actually broke? And this is a Docker environment, so I'll have to open my PowerShell to kind of get into the reasoning behind it. So let me open my PowerShell, drag it here. I love the command add-on, which is event log. Okay, I used it. Okay. So I'm trying to get the BC container event log for this container. And this is a standard BC container command, which is get BC container event log. So because our tenant actually got crashed, so I don't know what was the error. So if you get into it, write your container name and run this. I'll try to open your event log with a saved view of your container. So let me drag it up if I can. It's getting stuck. Oh, it's not responding. It's loading right now. So let's wait for a while. Okay, here we are. So this is my event log for my Docker container. So the first one, and let me zoom this in if I can, is saying something like this: error accessing website, unhandled error occurred on device client. I don't know what that means. Promise rejection, a error has occurred. So let's move down. This one is saying the similar thing: promise rejection, invalid operation. Let's move down. And here are the details. And let me know if you can't see it. Surprisingly, otherwise I'll have to copy this into a notepad to make it readable. Okay, so let me try doing that so that we can read it. Okay. So when we try to insert in a try function, this is what happened. Call to function insert is not allowed inside the call of try create customer with insert when it is used as a try function. So that proves that point which we were talking about last week, that you cannot actually insert a record in a try function. If you try to do that, this will happen. It will not warn you as an error, which is surprising. I was expecting that it will warn me, but it actually records that on an event log with saying that it is not allowed. And then it provides you detail of that object and from where you're calling that. But that's irrelevant at that time, at this time. Okay, so we have tried our creation. So let me delete this. It'll be refreshed when we do, if we need it later. Okay, so now we want to try or put their bets on the modify. Anybody? Will modify happen? So what the modify is going to do, let's have a quick look before we actually execute that. The modify is going to find the first try customer and we'll try to block that customer as all. Okay. So our customer at this point, only one try customer, and that is set to blocked blank. Okay. So let's call our modify try. Again, it crashed, which again proves the point that you cannot do a modify, which I guess somebody said that I can do. I don't know who was that last week, but somebody said that, oh, I have done it and it's possible to kind of do a modify on a try function. Surprisingly, that is also not allowed. And if I directly go to the third error, copy that error and put it again into Notepad, I'll see the same kind of message. Call to function modify is not allowed inside a try function. So if you have done it and you were there in the last meeting, I would like you to be here and maybe explain if I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm missing a step somewhere. But this is what we understand from the actual execution of a modify inside a try function. Now let's test the last piece before we open it for questions or discussion. Is about the try create customer or with delete, as in try to delete a customer. I should have named it correctly, but it is looking for a blocked customer and then trying to delete it. So to actually execute it, I need to have something so that it it agrees to what it is required. So what I'll do is, where is the new try one? I have so many windows open. Okay, here it is. So let me change this so that it matches to the criteria, so that code goes into the on delete, that I'm setting it to all, because that's what the code is looking for. So if I try to call the delete now, that again fails. And I don't want to go into event log. I can, that's not a problem. But you will see the similar kind of error in the event log again, that you cannot perform a delete operation inside a try function. And for some reasons, it's not generating an error message for the user. It's kind of making your tenant, invalid operation window, and then logging it into event log. And this time the event is recorded that the call to function delete is not allowed. So the summary, that based on George's question and what we were not sure about last week, as in somebody said that they can do a modify, but eventually you can't do any database operation or data manipulation option inside the try function. That's how it is defined in as a special type of method that you can write.
If we are handling that return type, right?
Yes, as in to make it a try function, you need to have a return type handled. If, like in the first example where we were not handling the return type, then it was not a try function, then it was a journal function. If I would have written something like like this, customer dot validate, let's say general product posting group, and if I would have said something like this, and the return type is not handled, it will give you error here like this. Okay, that this is an invalid value, general product posting group IN is not found in the system. Okay, and let's quickly see that. So if I don't instead of using a return thing, I keep it as normal and don't handle the if situation and say, okay, just go and try creating actual, and I have created it as a try function, and then return me the customer, and then based on that customer I'll call the insert. In this case, what will happen is when I'll try to run this using the actual try, I'll get an error message, or it's in the debugging mode, so let me go out of it. Continue. I'm getting an error. The field, which is an generic genuine error, that field in the general posting group does not contain a value in that cannot be found in the related table, which makes complete sense. But this is not an way you will write the try or you want to handle the try function. The reason you want to handle try function in a way is that you want to say that, okay, if this can be created, then insert it. Otherwise, let's say you want to say invalid data. Okay, you don't want to show them the whole error message that is generated. You just want to say the data that you are, the 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 values that you are using to create this are invalid, rather than giving them the whole generic error of that this value is not found in this table and all. So now if I run this and I have used the if and else case, I'll not get the error that we got just now. I'll actually get the error invalid data. So let's test this. So let me stop the debugger so that I don't have to go here later. Okay. So if I do an actual try now, it'll tell me invalid data, which means the try function was able to try out executing the code that you have written inside it. And if there were any errors, which was here, it was not shown to the user who is using the system. It was actually put and returned as false. So it will return true or false based on is the all the lines of code are executed successfully or not. If all these lines are executed successfully, then it will return true. And then if you don't handle that with an if else, it will not be, it will not become a try function. It will become as a normal function. Rishikesh, did you understand what you're saying?
Yes, correct.
And Vijay, to answer your question, this command about the get log is only for the Docker BC container event log. This comes with the BC container module, so it is specific to container. In on-prem, you can always go to the event log of the server and check those. Does that make sense, Vijay?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
One thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was saying, we saw two different things. Once we saw that client crashes, right? When we
Right.
had to open the event log, right? And another time we got a message when it was not validating the data, correct?
Right.
So I was just trying to understand the difference between these two.
Okay. So let me revisit again. Okay. So the first thing, whenever you create a try function, the signature of function should not return anything. That's clear? Rishikesh, that's clear?
Yes.
This should never return a thing because it's by default system automatically returns a boolean. Okay. The second
Yeah.
condition with a try function is you need to handle the return value. If you don't handle the return value, this function, even if it is tagged as try function, it will be a normal function. So you will have to handle what is returned from a try function with an if else. Okay. That if this return true, then this, if this return false, then this. That's clear?
Yes.
Okay. So if we don't put a if else condition here, that's what we saw a while ago, it actually showed you an error because of this line of validate. Because it was treating it as a normal function, not as a try function.
Yes.
Okay. Now the second thing where it crash is because in try function, by definition, you cannot do data manipulation, which is you cannot insert a record, you cannot modify a record, or you cannot delete a record. Because any transaction that are done, by try function cannot be rolled back. So Microsoft limits it not to do any data manipulation. As in, you can call all validates that you want, so like if you have 30 fields to validate in a table, and you don't want to get all these error messages that you're getting as to your user, you can do all your validates there. And then at the end, based on what try function returns, like I'm doing here, you can either do an insert if it is returning true, otherwise show them an error or a message, whatever makes sense to you, or record it in a table, maybe that this failed, so I'm not going to process ahead. So the try function have 4 things. You should never try to return anything from a try function because it by default returns a boolean. The return value should be handled, otherwise the try function will be treated as a normal function. And the third thing is, you can't do any data manipulation in a try function because that's restricted, because the actions that are done in a try function cannot be rolled back. That's by definition.
So if we explicitly try to return a value, will it give us compile time error?
Yes. So this is what we were trying to do here, where we said, oh, I'm trying to explicitly return boolean. It gives me this error here that the signature of this procedure does not match to the signature required by a try function. It should be, the return value should be none. Okay, so try to force return something from a try function, you'll get a compile time warning. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Okay.
I have, but not related to this.
Okay, so yeah, I'll open it for questions now. Manish, go ahead.
Actually, now I'm working on NAV 2016, and I'm stuck at one point where I have a text value in blob field. I just need to read it from there. So I'm not able to do that.
2016 you said, right?
2016.
Was there a work description back then in the sales invoice or sales orders?
Work description. I don't remember it. I have to check.
Let me see, let me open this. It was there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I was coming to. If it is there, and let me open BC14. So the way, and this is the only version that I have from Nav. Okay, for things that if I have to visit ever. So on the sales invoice, they added this field called work description, right? Which is somewhere, should be in, yeah, here. Now, if you see this work description in this page, it's of type text.
Okay.
Okay, Manish? But as soon as you enter something, it actually goes and sits inside a blob with this function called set work description. So there is a code that converts it to a blob. Okay. But when you open your page, the value that is saved need to be shown to the user, right? So then for sure, somewhere in on after get record or somewhere it'll say that, yeah, get work description, and which is assigned to a text variable. So if you call this get work description, there will be some code which can do that, which is this code.
Okay, that has value, and then it's.
So you have this code written in table 36 in your NAV 2016. If you have to.
Actually, I tried with temp blob.read text. CR is what?
It's a character, text character. I guess it's a space.
Line separator.
10. I'm not sure what is ASCII 10 is for. So let me check that. What is ASCII 10 for? Okay, but yeah, this is the code. This will return you as an, you can try it. It's a line feed, as you were saying. 10 is a line feed. All right. See this code in your NAV 2016. You can kind of follow this routine and test it out in your client with the sales invoices. You can type values, you can type any random values there, close that and open it. It will fetch it from blob and convert it to a text.
Okay.
So don't do atmblob.read, you said? Read as text? Yeah. Read as text needs this 2 parameter, right? Line separator and the
Right.
encoding.
And when I use a line separator, it shows an error, runtime error. When I click on the button to execute this code, it
Because this
says
is
in
text
stream
one.
something in stream.
You're using this? Which one you're using? Read as text?
Read as text. Which
Try
type
this.
of data type is CR?
It's text one.
Okay. Okay, I'll try it
See
on
this
this.
in standard, and you'll understand. That's the whole point of finding things from base Microsoft. Then
Okay.
we don't have to apply our brains if we know where it is, right?
Sure.
Okay, so the both the functions are placed in the same area. One is the get, and other one is a set. Okay, set work description, which sets it. Okay, but while setting it up, it is using the encoding, and that's the same encoding I guess they are using for while they are exporting, right? So while you are storing it into the blob, you can use a text encoding and then export it using the same encoding.
Okay.
Give it a try. Let's see what happens.
Yes.
Okay, I see Shahid, your hand raised. Yes, sir.
Yes, maybe two silly questions, but I need to ask.
Okay, there are no silly questions, man. Go ahead.
As came from a different programming background, I mean, I'm new in Dynamics, but I have good programming experience in other languages.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I compare things,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result, what we do in populating the value in NAB, like we use the uh, table relation or options, and but my requirement is that to populate a pop-up with like month as I mean current month, formatting the year and month and year, and the previous month and the next month. I mean I will populate one uh, field with value current month, previous month, and next month. But formatting will be month and year.
So this is what kind of field you are talking about? As in, you need in a field 3 values, or you want?
In reports or in tables pages, just a field.
And how that value will be keyed in?
Like I will format this today. I mean the current date as month text and year.
And this will be
And
this will not be inserted by user. It will be auto-filled.
sorry.
This value will be auto-filled or will be in
Yeah, auto.
auto-filled. Okay.
Yes.
So you want it to be inserted in a different way and then see it in a different way, in different format.
Right. Like I like user will choose the year month. So
Okay.
he will get a list in the pop-up that current month, previous month, and the next month.
Current month, next month. Okay. And let's say we are in April, right? So let's assume if I'm running a report, I'll see 3 options there:
Right.
March, April, and May.
Right.
Okay. So if I choose May, what happens?
If I choose May, and it will format some format the value. Like in my database field, actually in table field there is year month. I mean not formatted year and month as digit, integer or text.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it will format this value and compare. I mean as parameters value
Okay.
and
That's not a
run the
problem.
reports.
That's not a problem. As in you, so like you were there when we talked about that date thing, right? Where we created that aging report,
Right.
right? So in the same way, as soon as the report starts, you can
Mhm.
fill up a array with three dates or months, whatever you want to key into this, which is current month, month minus one, and month plus one. That's possible.
That's possible. Value. I mean, I have my codes here, but populating the value in a pop list. How? Because
Sorry, I didn't get that. What you said at the end?
I mean, like I have taken three fields as array.
Mm-hmm.
You said, and populated the value. Like I used format kill date 1 a.m. today, and then the format and
Right,
format today format and also format kill date minus 1 a.m. I mean the last
right,
and the format. I have the value, but now
right.
I like to populate this in a pop list,
In a list,
in a
right?
list. Yeah, that's the
Where
problem.
user can select it.
Yes, yes.
And this is which version we are talking about, NAV or Business Central?
BC14.
BC14, CAL, right?
Yes.
So all the time
So
refer to,
BC14, I'm using AL.
you are using AL, that's okay. But there are buffer tables in NAV, okay? And they are used for these purposes. So if you filter out buffer tables, you'll find that there are so many buffer tables. And there will be one buffer table which will match to your scenario, as in, so all these buffer table have their own type of fields, right? Like this have options, code, and anything. So let's say we use any buffer. You need a field where you can insert text, right? So let's say if I'm using this, I need to use this buffer, not this buffer because this has a big key, but you can use any buffer. Let's say, what is this? Error number. Okay. So this is a buffer table, okay, which can store some data. Okay. Now, if in your report, when you have those three value, if you make it a data item of this table and mark it as temporary, so that the data is actually not stored inside this table, but from code you insert the error text as your values, okay, then this data item will show its own tab into the report. So if I use a if I create a new report and if I make this as a data item and make it as temporary, okay, so there all the inserts that I have here from code, when I run this report, this will show me the drop down for this. Shahid, are you with me? When I go ahead.
Did you get it actually? Repeat.
So what I'm saying is from code, as you said, you can set the 3 date
Right.
values, right? Which is
Right.
March, April, and May. Now, instead of setting it into a variable, you can do an insert, temporary insert into this table,
Okay.
right? And then in your report, you can add it as a data item.
Mm-hmm.
You add it as a data item, and when you run the report, you will get a drop down for that, as in filter selection box for that, like,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
And when you hit the filter selection box, you can use that to show the values,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then use whatever is selected to filter out your data. And that's where the buffer table are used for. They are used for either posting a transaction, temporarily store some data. So like just to give you an example, what I'm trying to say is when you add an object or a table into a report, you get this filter section, right?
Right.
And if the values are stored in that buffer table, you will see a drop down like this automatically,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then user can select January, February, or March because he'll see 3 values only there,
Right.
right? So that's the way you can achieve it.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay.
I have another questions.
Just let me go to others and then I'll come back to you.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Jignesh, I see your hand raised.
Yes, Saurabh. I have one query that I have base 64 text value. One image, for one image, I have converted that to base 64 text value. And in one page, I need to show that base 64 value into the Navision page as an image.
You'll have to
From
convert
base 64 text, I need to convert in the image in the Navision page. I need to show.
Okay, so this is which version?
Base in the Navision Cal version, Cal, not AL.
Okay. I am not sure about the cal, but I think that these functions will be available. And if you haven't read this series, this specifically talks about it. Okay. So there is, and this is covering two things, which is API and base 64. But you can see it here, import using web services using API. I guess this is what it is. This is an API example, but this is for external interface. Forgot about this. But when you come here, you can, decode this and encode this. So all the code is available on the GitHub for encoding and decoding. This is for the import attachment, which is if you are coming from outside and you have a base 64 value. Okay, this can convert that. There will be a code segment here, I guess, in this page. Or maybe in this table. Let me see where it is. API attachment. So there, yeah, so there is this function import attachment with the base 64 input, which can then convert it to a blob and then store it into that blob.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you share this link?
Okay, let me find that. Here it is. Let me put it into chat. Okay, anything else, Rishikesh? Oh, sorry. Jignesh?
No. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Rishikesh, I see your hand raised.
Yes, sir. Basically, there was some customizations developed in NAV 2016.
Okay.
And what I did, I converted the objects to AL from text to AL utility. Okay.
Right.
And the base tables which were modified, I created extensions for them.
Okay.
So everything is fine. But when I put the page objects into my folder, what the compiler is treating it, if I talk about the global variables in the page, it is treating it as I am creating a new object.
Okay, then
Are you getting my point?
I guess you did you download the symbol over there?
Yes, correctly.
Okay, so then I guess you are missing one step, which is so the way it works, and maybe we can talk about it in the next meeting, is when you do your text to L conversion. The first thing is that you don't have to separately create your table and page extension. Okay, that's why there is this text to L converter. So the first thing that you need to remember is you don't need to you should never import your objects manually for your text to AL conversion. Never. Okay, you should always use PowerShell and use this command, which is export nav application object. Export This is service, right? Oh, sorry, my bad. I should have gone to program files, x86, Microsoft Dynamics Nav, Swati, Rotator client, .ts1. Okay. So if I run this, okay, and then I do a export nav application object, yes. Okay. So this is the command that you need to use to export your objects. You'll give the database name, you'll give the path, and even the file name if you want, when you want to export your objects out. And then make sure to set the export to new syntax. Now this does the conversion of your table number 18 to customer. This removes your date, your time from your text file, or convert it to a format that is supported by text to AL converter. Okay. So you should always make sure that you use export to new syntax while exporting your objects out from your database. Now, if it is not time,
from that nav database, like cal
yes,
objects.
yes. If it is not time crucial and you want to understand the whole process of converting your CAL objects to AL objects, we can maybe debate this in next meeting if you're there.
Yeah, sure. Please take a note, Saurabh. It will be really helpful.
Okay, so in next meeting, we are going to talk about how you actually convert your CAL objects to AL and what all you can achieve with text to AL converter, because there are so many possibilities with that. It's just not, doing new object conversion. Okay, so that's, I guess, committed. People who are here, if they are interested, they can be there next week, Rishikesh, and you'll be there, I hope, and we'll talk about it next week.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Manish, I see your hand raised again, or is it for the last time?
Yes, Saurav. So in NAV 2016, do we have base 64 converter?
That should be with the temp blob table, I guess.
No, I believe it. I tried with the same because in BC it's there with temp blob, but not in 2016.
Okay, that's interesting. I'll have to
I
see
thought
that.
there would be some code unit, so I searched for code unit. I didn't find anything.
Oh, it's I don't know when it was released, but it's in BC 14 for sure.
Yeah, I was using in BC, but I'm unable to find in
But
NAV
can't you
2016.
just try to pull these, because these are .NET references, right? And they should be there. Memory stream.NET should be there in the in the version, because it's a system library, system IO library. So just give it a try. Try to copy these two functions. One is from to base 64 and one is from base 64. These are the two functions that that does that. As in, other than this, in stream and out stream was there for sure. So you just need to check that is the memory stream, which is a Windows library. I'm pretty sure it will be available there. Just give it a try.
I'll try it. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. And then Shahid, you had another question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Again, there is still one.
Go ahead.
Like in other programming languages, we join two tables. I mean, three records joining, like customer and vendor others. But in Navisions, can we join two tables data and put in a single record?
And this is for what purpose?
In vendor ledger, there is ledgers for all the vendors, or in customer ledgers, all the ledgers for all the customers. But in some cases, vendors are inactive or customers are inactive. So I like to check which customers' ledgers are active currently.
Which customer ledgers are active?
Right. I mean, ledgers are there, but
you only want to see the ledgers for customers who are not blocked. Will that be a fair statement?
Right.
And this is for, again, for what? For report or for on a page? How you want to handle this?
In reports.
And reports, yeah, that you can achieve via code, right? That whenever you get, so the way you will handle it is like when you are on a report, rather than creating directly it on customer ledger entry or on vendor ledger entry, you will start it with customer. Okay. In the customer, you can set your filters that where the blocked is, what all there's a value, right? Oh, blocked is blank. Does it? That means it's empty, right? It's open. So it'll only show you customers where the blocked is empty, which means active. Because blocked have what values? Let's see. Blocked have value of ship, invoice, and all. Okay, so if you want to see all where they are not blocked, then you'll keep this value as blank. Okay, so it'll only show you customers which are blocked for none. And then in this, you can have a relation with your cust ledger entry, which is related to the main table customer based on the customer number. So now what we are telling to the system that I want to see the customer ledger entry, but only for customers which are not blocked.
Right.
Does that solve that problem?
Not in report actually. Like I like to populate some other things based on the record data that is, not only active, So I need this. I need to. Join up these two data. The ledger and also this customer's data, and put in a single record. Temp record, whatever.
Yeah, that you can do as in that's where you can use as in I don't know how you can merge customer and customer ledger entry data because those are two different kind of table structures, right?
Right.
So you can't just merge those two tables for creating a view, as in you can have the temp variable for both and then show them in two different parts of your page, but you cannot actually merge two data set which are of different table field set.
In that, if I use a record reference and I manually add this column data in record reference table, is it possible?
Record reference data.
Mm-hmm. And
Yes,
I add, like from, I will check data. I will take data from customers and also take data from this, ledger tables.
but where you'll store, as in which record ref always points to a table, right? Record ref are not independent.
That is the question actually. That is my
It can't,
point
as in,
also.
yeah, as in you can create two record ref, but what you'll achieve with that? At the end of the day, you need a structure which matches where you can have the fields that you need, right? If you need 5 fields from customer and 5 fields from customer ledger entry, so you need a table which supports that kind of structure.
That's my requirement actually in .NET or in object-oriented structure. There is a temp structure. You can define any temp structure and combine 2 or 3 objects data in one object. That is my requirement actually.
That's the reason that in Business Central versions, Microsoft have released this new table type, which is temporary. In the older versions of Dynamics Nav, you'll have to either create your own buffer table, as I was talking earlier, okay, where you can have your own schema that you want, the table field set that you want. And that's where Microsoft also uses all these buffer table to do operation, as in they are not for us, they are used while Microsoft does posting or things like that. Like there is a CSV buffer. Now this table is used while you're importing a CSV, right? There is an XML buffer, there is a JSON buffer. So all these buffer tables are created by Microsoft to support some of these business processes. So you might want to create a buffer table and then write logic to insert data into that buffer table.
Yeah, I got that. I was thinking actually the same. for this second requirement that I maybe use buffer. So I
You'll have to,
I need to use buffer for this
that's the
requirement.
way, I guess.
Maybe
Yeah.
Saurabh, can't he use the queries to get the data?
You want to see it in a consolidated view, as in I completely don't get the requirement, as in does he want to show it to the users, and then he can use the query, but it's this, it'll follow the same rule as we see in the report, right? That you'll get a joined view of two different table schema based on a relation. But at the end, what matters is how or what business process or where he needs that data. Is it just for viewing purposes? Then either use report or query, as you said, and show that data or export it out. But if it is for user view, then as I said, he can have two parts in a page where the first main part shows the customer detail and the sub page shows the customer ledger entry related to that customer.
Actually,
But
my exact requirement is that because I'm preparing the salary and I'm in my cases some employee are not active. Maybe they resigned or some reason they are not active. So I'm preparing the salary for this month. So I need to check to whom I will prepare salary. So if I
I
check
don't
all
know how, sorry, I don't know how you're doing it, because like if in the system there is a customer and a customer ledger entry, right? Then in the whole system, the customer ledger entry have that open boolean, that is it being adjusted or not? Is this payment has been received or not? So if in your case, if an employee worked for 30 hours, is he paid for this 30 hour or not? If you handle it the standard Microsoft way, that okay, this person have put all these time entries which became, let's say, resource ledger entry. Okay, now in case of resource ledger entry, all those remain open until and unless that resource is paid for that work. Once that resource have been paid for that work, those entries kind of marked as closed or open false. And then whenever you are doing this salary calculation, whatever you're doing, you don't consider anything that is already processed. You only filter out ledger records which are open. And that's how the standard nav or business central processes work from perspective of ledgers.
Yeah, I'm working different way a bit. So that's why I got my answer. I will use a temp DB, I mean buffer, and I will move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we end this, I guess this is what it is. No, let me see where it is. Okay, here is the business central tenant, but it actually gave me for USA, which I was not expecting. I thought it will give me for India. So I guess this doesn't also answer Dave's question, because it's still pointing me as to be on US based on my account. So this is not giving it. I'll have to find something else if that can help David, but this is not it, I guess. CDX will also give you the tenant based on the region where you are. I guess that's the location that I created. But what if I create a new tenant as a new environment here? Let me see. Can I do a test of my sandbox, which is, oh yeah, I can choose it. Like I can do India here. I hope so. 18.2342, and this is a sandbox and create it. I hope Microsoft doesn't give me no, it's getting created. So if I guess David have that environment for whatever country that he is in, he can always create a sandbox for a different country, like I just created for India, where the standard was given me for US. I guess this is what David was looking for, Vijay, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so hope this will answer David's question. This is the best I was able to find out. But okay, I guess we already I need to keep time checks because from last two meetings, I guess we are going way beyond time. So thank you all. Next week, as Rishikesh requested, we'll be talking about, I'll prepare a small demo about converting your Cal custom objects to AL, and we'll see the possibilities with text to AL convert. So be there if you're interested next week.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And
Okay,
thank you.
thanks guys.
Thank you, Saurav.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay.